Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are here at an unprecedented event. This is the first debate for student body president for the student council here at Legacy Preparatory Charter Academy. I will be introducing the candidates in just a minute. But first, I would like you to ask you, please no cell phones during this time, no recording of this. Please keep completely silent during the entire event. We will be asking questions from the student body, the three moderators. We have Ms. Wilkerson, we have Mr. Ferguson, and myself, Mr. Martin. Okay? So, let me first introduce, we'll go with ladies first. This is Lena Hall. She represents the Legacy Lion Party. And we have Mr. Jonathan Dodge, who represents the Dracocrat Party. So, we'll be asking a series of questions, and I will go ahead and go first with the first question. Okay. How do you, as president, they'll get 30 seconds to respond each, and then we'll have a minute debate between. No more than that. We will cut you off. So, first question is, how do you, as president, plan on getting more clubs and more community/school spirit at our school? We'll start with candidate Ms. Hall.
How I plan to get clubs and more activities here is I decided to come up with an idea having student-made clubs where students can come up with clubs and go to Ms. May and ask for approval. All you would really need is a sponsor to sponsor your club, and you don't really need a certain amount of students to make the club. You just have to get it approved, and I talked to Ms. May yesterday about that. So that's what I plan to do.
Thank you. All right, and now candidate Dodge, for 30 seconds.
What I plan to do to get more student-made clubs and activity is to actually work closely with all of you and Ms. May to get certain clubs that the majority wants approved. We can have it like a democratic, kind of election. We want the majority of this, we want the majority of that. And for rotation days, we could actually have perhaps one of the classes actually be one of our clubs so that we can get more people involved, and so we have something to do also during that time.
Thank you. All right, you have 1 minute to openly discuss between each other. You do not have to respond if you do not feel like it. You can simply say pass or move on to the next question.
So with having a whole bunch of clubs here at this school, if everyone were to come and get their club approved, then how would we monitor and manage all of that?
Well, that's when the sponsor comes in. You would have to have a sponsor for each club, and Ms. May would have to approve each club.
Oh, individually. So
yeah.
Could other clubs be ruled out then?
They could, yes, if they don't find a sponsor or if it's not approved by Ms. May.
Okay, so then it is more similar to democracy. Yeah. Okay, makes sense.
All right. Who would like to go next with their question?
I will. Ms. Hall, how do you feel about our policy on hoodies, and what can you do to change it on behalf of your constituents?
The thing about dress code is we can't really change anything for this year. We have been told that we can maybe change some things for next year. But what I do know is that we could get school-sponsored jackets, not hoodies, because it is a safety reason why we can't have them. But we could get the school hoodies that we had when I was in 10th grade. We weren't allowed to wear them, but I spoke to Ms. May that we can maybe get those and wear them.
Okay. And
Mr. Dodge?
So for hoodies and uniforms, etc., yes, it is a safety hazard with being able to put your hoodie up and hide your face. But yes, along with what Rocio said, we could also get more school-sponsored jackets, sorry. We could get more jackets and perhaps even push with privilege for obeying the rules, following certain things, being disciplined. Perhaps push to getting certain colored jackets specifically for your job.
that will be time. All right, and now a minute to openly discuss.
So, would anything you do be able to be implemented into the school or follow the student dress code this year?
With the school-sponsored jackets, we could do this this year because it is something that we've been doing with the senior shirts. We got this approved, so we are allowed to wear them. We could do that with jackets as well.
Okay. How do you handle conflict? Very vague question. Go ahead.
Personally, how I handle conflict is more of a means of speech between that person. If someone disagrees with what I believe, well then there should be factual evidence behind their disagreement, and we can debate and discuss the disagreements of what we believe between each other to come to a more mutual understanding. However, I will not engage in a conflicting situation with someone if they do not have any sustenance for what they stand on.
Personally, I handle conflict not the best way, but I have been getting better at handling conflict, at handling talking to people and trying to discuss our differences.
And 1 minute to open debate.
Right. So I believe that in the way that I handle conflict is more appropriate for the majority of students to follow, in that sense of, if you have an issue with someone, yes, you can always talk it out, but there is people who refuse to talk about it, and so I believe that sometimes conflict should be left alone, and if you leave it alone, there won't be any conflict. And in the worst case scenario, you could always go to your teachers or administrative people.
Well, I don't think in the worst case scenario you should go to them. I mean, you should go to them whether or not it is a worst case scenario. If you don't want to have conflict with someone or the person doesn't want to talk to you, you can just talk to the teacher, maybe work it out.
But what if it's not something to necessarily go to them about? What if it's like, oh, I don't like that color shirt you're wearing, even though we all wear the same color shirt, or I don't like those shoes you're wearing?
Well, the teachers and counselors are here to advise us. We need to use the resources and people that we have around us.
Next question. This is for Mr. Dodge to start off with. What kind of perks do you think you can get for changes in the uniform? They seem to like Red Ribbon Week for the students as president.
Yes, so that is an issue that lots of students have, is the uniform policy, the dress code that we adhere to, the dress code that we follow. So something that I could propose that we do through close discussion with all of you and with our administrator, Ms. May, our principal, is by getting certain privileges for the students who are well behaved, such as more free Jean Day passes or, again, colored jackets for yourself for your grade.
And Ms. Hall?
Pretty much the same thing. We had that system a few years ago as well. The teachers would give out free Jean Day passes to kids who are well behaved, kids who deserve those privileges, and if they didn't act right, if they didn't do this, then they got those privileges taken away. And so that's how we had those things in mind.
Okay. Now, 1 minute for open debate.
So I believe that for the most part in this situation we are agreed that it's just more coming down to privileges and what the students earn and what the principal thinks that they can handle and what they deserve. So I think that we are pretty much agreed on that.
Okay.
I'll go.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, from what I can tell, most of the people that'll be voting are middle schoolers. How do you think that you can represent middle schoolers well and their ideas? Because they'd be different from high schoolers.
Well, you have to understand that as a high schooler, you have been through more, you do know more. And so I would trust that the middle schoolers would, follow by example that we set. And so, no, not everything that the middle schooler considers the most important is actually the most important, but for the most part, you are able to represent them and get them the things that they want, as long as they are doing what they're supposed to be doing. And so I feel I'd be able to represent them and getting them the privileges that they want and making things easier and more enjoyable for them.
And Ms. Hall?
With the middle school kids, I used to be a middle school kid, so I do know some things that they would want, or some privileges that they would want, but also being a high school student, you know that some of the things that they want are, not always the best for them. So I will be talking to them, making sure I know what they want, what they would need, or anything else.
Okay, 1 minute for open debate.
if if there was ever a time where it was truly coming down between who supported you, as in the middle schoolers, and the administrator, would you continue a fight that you've been told to shut down on for them, or would you just have to step
If
back?
an administrator told me not to continue the fight, I would probably not continue the fight if an administrator told me not to.
No response?
On behalf of the high school students, there's a lot of students that would like to see more activities, for example, soccer. What can you do to create a larger student body so we can have more activities like that?
With the example of soccer, soccer has been available for a while. The coach did have that program in line. It was just more or less a student participation. We do have activities, we do have clubs, not as much as we would want, which is the subject I was talking about, student-made clubs. But the clubs and stuff and activities that we have, it just is more or less student participation. If we have more students participating, then we would have more clubs.
To all of you on that topic, I would be representing you. I would be working with you in close discussion, and we would discuss together what the most popular sport is. That may not be the sport that you necessarily want, but that's the sport that we'd be able to make a team for. For instance, we have a high school basketball team right now. You know, if you want a soccer team, we have to get those people. How we're going to get those people? More representation of the school, more enjoyment of the school, succeeding in the school. That's going to give us more funds, which will naturally bring more people to us for the clubs that you all want. You have to represent yourself.
Okay, 1 minute for open discussion.
How do you propose that we would bring people to this school if we needed to increase the student count so that we could actually have a team that people wanted?
Well, it's just more or less on the student participation, the student clubs, and things like that. Yeah, I don't know.
Sorry, I don't feel that either of you answered that question.
The question about how we would create soccer?
It's more about marketing, like how could you market
Yeah.
to local residents to attract more students to the school in general so that we can have a larger student body and more activities?
Well, you naturally get a larger student body when you make better grades, when you are disciplined, when you behave. Then people are going to naturally come to the school because there's more funds, there's more things to do. It's going to be more popular. If you're prideful in your school, people notice that. People want to have what you have. They want to join you in that. And so naturally, through how you represent yourself and how you behave is how you be representing our school.
It's all on the students liking this school, and the kids. Some kids I've seen that want more things happening. The more things we have to offer at the school, the more people would want to come. The more people would say like, "Oh, they're offering this at the school. Oh, they're offering this." They want to come.
All right. Questions, for you?
That was my question.
That was your question? Okay. What about-
What kind of privileges, Mr. Dodge, can we offer to encourage positive student behavior?
Privileges we can offer. I know the majority of you heard about just a couple days ago, no longer phones at lunch. Well, if you're a well-behaved student, through talking with Miss May, I'm sure that we could be able to get some privileges set up as to where you'd be able to have your phone at lunch, or you'd be able to listen to some music in class when you finish it. This is all through talking with Miss May. I can't guarantee you anything.
You still have a little bit of time.
Yeah.
That was-
Oh, okay. But this is all through talking with her and all of you to see what we can do, what we can accomplish. But I do need you all to put in effort for the privileges that you want.
Okay. Ms. Hall?
With privileges, it all depends on our good behavior and how well we act. If we act well as students here, if we are right, we get more privileges. I know Ms. May has some privileges that she wants to give us back. I know she wants to give us maybe more privileges. It all depends on our behavior. I feel like as a whole school, we need to better our behavior.
So our final and closing question for the candidates today is, why do you want this position? It comes with a little bit more stress. You will be under a lot of critique as the student body president, both from the maybe teaching staff as well as the students you represent. So why do you want Not why do you think you should have it, why do you want this position? We'll start with candidate Hall.
I wanted this position because I wanted to help the students. I wanted to be the voice for the students to help them get the things that they want or things that we need. Being here for my 3rd year now, I've helped a lot around the school, and I feel like this will give me the chance to help more, to participate more.
Okay. So this is going to be the final remark, so you're going to have a little bit more time.
Yeah. I want this position because the majority of people in here seem to have a lot of complaints and issues, and I want to be able to help out with that. And after Georgie came to our classroom and had the discussion with us about what legacy we're going to leave behind, I realized the legacy that I want to leave behind is helping everyone and helping them grow and better themselves and actually enjoy the environment that they're in as people. And also, I have to say the presidential position looks really good on a college application, so that's a bonus.
Yeah, now you want to remind your constituents when and
Oh
where
yeah,
the vote
so
will be.
sorry guys, just so you know, actual voting day is going to be next week on December 15th. It's going to be in Mr. Ferguson's classroom. Be there, make sure you write down, make sure you get your vote cast so that your voice can be heard and you can choose who will represent you.
It's my class.
Oh, Mr. Martin's class now. They never told me. So, Mr. Martin's class, guys. Mr. Martin's class. Hey,
Got the big room.
I was saying
Everything
what I
else
was
takes
told.
place in this classroom.
Mr. Martin's classroom next week.
Okay.